7 days ago, in a busy cafe, a young man usually sat quietly in a corner reading. Today, some people started talking about him, saying he was always alone, without family, friends, or a job. The other man got more and more excited, mentioning how his son was beaten by thugs, and this guy walked by without helping or calling the police. However, another person felt the young man was kind, as he had received help from him. The young man didn't want to listen anymore and stood up to leave. On his way out, he met the cafe owner, who told him not to mind what people said. The owner understood he must have his reasons. Even though he knew the owner was defending him, the young man didn't say anything, just wished him good night, then left without looking back. The owner watched his back and felt it was a pity. Such a handsome beta, if only he had a job and was more sociable, he could have introduced him to his eldest son. The young man went home, saw the remaining coffee on the table, and drank it all. Just then, he saw a shadow in the window. Realizing there was someone in his house, he turned around and indeed saw a man in black behind him, a stranger. The man smiled and said, "I told you, you've lost your sharpness and awareness. You've been followed for a while and didn't even realize someone entered your house. It would be easy to kill you from behind." The young man speculated about his identity and asked directly who sent him. The man said he came on his own and brought some people with him. He reminded him of the past. 10 years ago, at a chemical warehouse on the northern coast, he saved an alpha boy with special blood named Ta Xam. Hearing this name, the young man grabbed a kitchen knife and threw it at him. The knife brushed past his face and lodged in the wall behind. The man's face was cut. "Get out!" he yelled. The man, however, admired his accuracy despite losing his sharpness. 10 years ago, you were at the peak of your assassin career. If it weren't for saving me, I wouldn't have wasted my life in this small town. The young man, angry, threatened him. "Leave before I throw the second knife." But the man only laughed challengingly. "You won't kill me. Why rush to drive me away?" The young man grabbed the second knife but suddenly felt weak, his vision blurred, and he stumbled, dropping the knife. The man slowly approached him, and he realized there was something in the coffee. He fell forward, and the man caught him. The man felt sad. The feared assassin, now fallen by a cup of coffee in this small town. "You know, I've been looking for you for a long time. 10 years, and now I finally have you." 10 years ago, Zosun, as a child, once saw a man on the roof. His father told him it was an assassin named Jing, who killed bad people, criminals, and those in the underworld. Seeing his son could sense the assassin's presence, he added that Zosun inherited special blood from their family. If he ever wanted to hire an assassin, he should hire one like the Jing. Zosun asked if his father had hired Jing before. His father said he was an old client of Jing, who always completed his tasks well. Zosun asked why they didn't hire Jing to protect them this time. His father, with a helpless face, said they couldn't afford him anymore. Zosun looked back at Jing on the roof. Jing also looked at him, making Zosun startle. His father told him not to be afraid and then took off his hat to greet them politely before disappearing. His father instructed his men to take Zosun to the warehouse on the northern coast to meet Christine if everything was settled. Zosun still looked at the roof, and before his father left, he reminded him to listen to his uncles and protect himself. Zosun asked his uncles if Jing killed bad people. If he asked Jing for help, would he help him? They said it was useless. The boss had tried, but Jing had other tasks unless they offered a very high price. They advised him not to think about it because assassins, by nature, are dangerous, only working for money. But Zosun didn't think so. He felt Jing was different from other assassins. In the present, the next day, Zosun sat on the sofa, quietly waiting. Hearing movement, he was glad that Jing had finally woken up and tried to get up, though still dizzy. Zosun told him not to try too hard as the drug was potent. Jing asked why he was sought out. "What do you want from me?" Zosun calmly replied, "I want you, in every sense, because I've always wondered why for the past 10 years. I'll find the answer from you, even if it means being called ungrateful." He approached Jing, releasing pheromones. Jing smelled a strange flower scent he hadn't noticed before and realized it was Zosun's pheromone. He remembered 10 years ago, other assassins warning him that the child with him was dangerous, inheriting special blood. Although they were betas, not affected by omegas or alphas, they could still be threatened by that special blood. The child could use pheronol to influence him. Now, 10 years later, saving that child made him aware of the danger. Zosun asked, "How are my pheromones?" Jing immediately pushed him away and said seriously, "My name is Wenjian. There's no Jing here." "Then I'll call you Wen. Any other requests?" "You just want to possess me, no different from them. How can you compare me to them? That hurts. I'm not like them. I've been obsessed for 10 years and am more obedient than them." "Then why don't you leave when I tell you to? If you say you listen to me, stop releasing pheromones and close your eyes." Not knowing what Jing intended, Zosun obediently did so. Jing gently touched his face, and he leaned into his hand. Jing's eyes turned dangerous as he quickly changed positions, pinning Zosun from behind and warned, "Letting your guard down with me? Aren't you afraid I'll break your neck?" But Zosun enjoyed it, rubbing his head against Jing, and replied with a smile, "Of course not. You won't kill me." His hand roamed boldly. "I want to see how you look when you can't kill me and can only be played with." Hearing such crude words and feeling his roaming hand, Jing angrily grabbed his hand and twisted it, demanding he look away. Zosun obeyed but smugly said, "Dragging this out is useless. You can't escape. The longer you make me wait, the harder it will be for you." But when Zosun turned back, Jing was gone, leaving only a familiar fresh scent. Knowing he could track him, Jing released pheromones to create a distraction and escape. Zosun inhaled his scent, acknowledging the constant vigilance required. A beta with such prominent pheromones surely held secrets. His underling reported, "Jing has escaped. We couldn't stop him. He even stripped one of us of his pants and shoes." Zosun ordered his assassins to get into position. "Today, we must bring him back intact." Some townspeople saw Jing and asked about him, while he was in a rush. He heard the old mansion on the hill had been bought by Zosun. The most dangerous thing now was exposing his prominent beta pheromones to Zosun. Most betas didn't have significant pheromones and couldn't be marked or influenced by alphas or omegas. Jing was one of the few betas with clear pheromones. Furthermore, his pheromone was unique, bringing him luck. At 14, he had used his pheromones to find gold. His pheromones were from the legendary gold-attracting plant, a secret that made him retire. Returning home, Jing immediately went to the place where the guns were hidden, but it was empty inside, it had all been taken away. Did not take him away while he was in a coma, but rented a villa and stayed there. This must have been the reason for his guess. He hurriedly ran to the rooftop. In front of him, there were many assassins waiting on all the rooftops. Around each rooftop there would be one guarding as if waiting for orders to attack at the same time. On the rooftop nearby, an assassin shouted, "Damn, this is the real assassin Jing." Jing had just turned around when that assassin immediately threw his gun and declared that Jing was his. What did he think? It turned out that this was Jing's longtime fan, #1 fan. He said that he had admired Jing for a long time. His name was Gao Zhenruo, the other was his twin brother. They looked alike, but he thought he was cuter and hoped that Jing would not mistake him. He did not expect to be able to get so close to Jing. Gao Zhenruo was willing to offer this body to Jing. In this situation, he met a crazy fan. Jing punched him and asked his brother, "What do you want to do?" Gao Zhenyu was very different from his younger brother. His face was full of murderous intent, saying obey and join us, otherwise everyone here will die, just like Jing predicted. Sure enough, they wanted to use the whole town as hostages. Jing stabbed the knife down beside Gao Zhenruo and threatened that if he dared to touch them, his younger brother would die. Unexpectedly, the crazy fan shouted happily and was willing to die at Jing's hands, even more surprised when his brother directly said his wish, "Go ahead." Gao Renzuo noticed Jing's trembling hand and knew that his situation was not good, so he advised him not to resist. Seeing Jing about to jump over to the other side to fight his brother, he recovered and shouted, "Why kill him? Killing me here is not possible. The distance is too far for your current condition to jump over there." However, Jing still took a run. Just as he was about to jump over, a hand suddenly appeared from behind, hugging him, pulling him back. The knife in his hand fell out and stabbed straight into the ground. That person was Zosun. He worriedly said, "It's too dangerous. Why are you planning to do that?" Jing was angry, grabbed his shirt, and threatened, "You're not allowed to touch the people here, understand?" Zosun smiled, agreeing that the right to choose was in his hands. He hugged him, or this whole town would be destroyed. With this situation in his current physical condition, Jing knew he had absolutely no chance of winning. He could only think of another way. He went home and pushed Zosun away and said, "Do whatever you want, just don't touch the people here." He revealed a satisfied smile, then ordered his underlings to withdraw from here and told them to treat the residents of the town well. They would be here for a while. Zosun grabbed Jing's hand, then suddenly hugged him and kissed him. Surprised, Jing bit his tongue to make him stop. He licked his tongue and said, "It hurts. Why did you bite me so hard?" Jing didn't say anything. He asked again, "Have you never kissed anyone before? If you have, I will kill that person." Jing angrily threatened, "If you want something from me, I advise you to stop, Zosun. Don't force me to kill you." But he didn't give up easily. "I've been trying for 10 years, why stop?" he said as he approached. "Whether it's to seek revenge on them or to find you, I persevere. You should praise me." Facing him, Jing cautiously backed away until he was against the wall. He declared, "I won't stop. What I want isn't just to find you. I hope to build a close relationship with you, the kind of relationship where I won't leave you." He also didn't leave me after a few seconds of fearless speech. But I don't want to have anything to do with him. Zoe is not surprised because he knows that Jing's heart can't accept him, so he said he will start from his body first. Jing immediately held his hand, not letting it touch his body. He smiled and reminded me of the negotiation just now. There were many hostages in my hand. The hand holding his hand gradually let go. He slowly caressed his neck and then leaned closer to send Hong Thong on his body, uncomfortably asking, "What are you doing?" "This is the rooftop. If you want anything, go inside. He smiled wickedly and said, "What's wrong? Are you afraid that people will know that one has a man chasing after you now? Where are your glands? I heard that beta glands are usually in places that are not very visible, such as the mouth or chest." Jing pushed this shameless guy away, saying, "What if I found it? You can't mark me." But he confidently said that he had a special bloodline towards others. He used it to suppress and kill them, not marking or transforming anyone because he only wanted to do it to Jing. Just thinking about it was exciting, right? "Maybe you will have heat when you mark me, there is no way back." Jing was agitated, loudly saying, "Do whatever you want to me, but don't touch my glands, understand?" His eyes focused on Jing's right neck, then happily said, "Is it on the right side of your neck? Is it such an obvious place?" It was true that the scent came from there. Jing unconsciously used his hand to cover it. Unexpectedly he easily discovered that pheromone was the thing that held his life until now. If it was affected or even changed, he would lose the ability to resist. Compared to being touched, Jing's body was more cautious about the glands being affected. Zosun guessed that his glands had some secret, so he said he wouldn't touch Jing's glands anymore, and would only touch him instead. "Is that okay?" Jing agreed, saying that he had no right to decide. Zosun pressed closer and said, "No, that's not it. I used to listen to you very much, but you ran away, so this time I didn't listen anymore," and without time to react, he pounced and bit into your glands. Zosun frantically transmitted pheromones to Jing. When pheromones entered and spread through Jing's body instinctively, Jing rejected the acceptance. This violent reaction caused Jing to scream in pain. He glared at him with malice. At this moment, Jing had completely lost his composure. He was extremely panicked, unable to understand what was happening. Why did his pheromones cause him so much pain? Back at the villa, Zosun asked Gao Zhenyu, who had knowledge about pheromones, for his opinion. Gao Zhenyu explained that most betas do not have pheromones or scent glands and therefore cannot be marked. However, Jing was one of the few betas who had pheromones and scent glands. The function of Jing's pheromones might differ from that of alphas and omegas. It could act to block external intrusion. This phenomenon was normal and would not cause significant harm to the body, but the intensity of the pheromones in betas was still weaker than in alphas. Additionally, the Zosun family had a special bloodline that could suppress and influence all alphas, omegas, and betas. Therefore, Zosun could still affect Jing by transmitting pheromones, but Jing would have to endure the pain. Hearing Gao Zhenyu's explanation, Zosun felt relieved knowing it would not cause harm to the body. He eagerly imagined the future where he would frequently release Fair Cameron into Jing's body. Jing would be completely suppressed by him. At that time, Jing's body would change and he would enter a rut. This way, Jing would not leave him and might even actively desire him. When that happened, he could mark Jing permanently. Gao Zhenyu, who was listening, immediately froze. Fanatical and confused, he wondered if marking Jing meant that Jing could still mark him back. His brother quickly covered his mouth. Gao Zhenyu asked Zosun if he really wanted to do this. If Jing was so important to him, wasn't he afraid that Jing would hate him, or even want to kill him? Zosun was very confident about this. If Jing intended to kill him, he would have acted without hesitation already. Moreover, he was more afraid of Jing distancing himself from him. Jing slowly opened his eyes and sat up, looking around and realizing he was back in Zosun's room. He recalled how he lost consciousness when Zosun's pheromones entered his scent glands, making his body extremely uncomfortable. It seemed his own pheromones had reacted defensively, rejecting the foreign pheromones. At present, he could only hope that his own pheromones could hold up and not be affected by Zosun's pheromones when he went outside. Gao Zhenyu guessed that he was the leader of a branch of the organization and Zosun's assistant, so his capabilities were unclear, and he might not be able to defeat him. Gao Zhenyu explained to clarify the previous rejection of pheronol. However, Jing said he already knew. What Jing wanted to know now was what kind of organization they were dealing with. Gao Zhenyu immediately rolled up his sleeve to show Jing a tattoo. Seeing the design on his arm, Jing was very surprised. He knew that although the organization had withdrawn and gone underground 10 years ago, he had still kept track of its movements through the dark web, later placing a bounty on other assassins to eliminate criminal elements and find the mastermind who wanted to kill Zosun. However, there was no information. At the same time, illegal forces spread powerfully until 5 years ago, when a mysterious organization with the blood tree emblem emerged. This organization, named Burnett, rose to prominence and devoured other illegal forces without discrimination. Jing had even financially supported Burnett through the dark web. Gao Zhenyu said he would take Jing to meet Zosun. On the upper floor, Jing saw Zosun shooting someone in the head. Gao Zhenyu said they were executing a traitor. Jing was shocked to learn that the leader behind Burnett was the same Zosun he had saved years ago. Zosun looked down from the upper floor and smiled, saying, "Jing, welcome to my organization." Jing stood still without saying a word and then turned and left. He was somewhat surprised by this. Jing thought if it was a small, unknown organization, it would be easier to deal with. But now, Burnett, which confronted many organizations, was not a clean organization in his view. It was merely about using and suppressing violence. He was surprised that the leader was this young man. Not only had he entered the most dangerous area, but the situation was now much more dangerous than before. This situation was completely beyond his control. Suddenly, Zosun approached, grabbed Jing's hand, and pushed him against the door. Jing angrily yelled, "Let me go." Zosun stubbornly said, "No, I won't let go." "So, Jing, why is it so unacceptable to you that I am the leader of this organization? Surely, you've heard of us, using violence to deal with violence, just like how you did in the past." Jing coldly replied, "We are not the same. Who taught you to go down this path? No one did. It was my choice. If I didn't do this, how could I avenge the one who killed my father? How could I find this town? I found you hiding here. My ultimate goal is to kill all the founders of the Alpha Corporation, the masterminds from back then. So far, the only identified person is Cliff Quinton. You must be familiar with him." Jing understood Zosun's intention. He had been searching for Cliff Quinton for years. He used to be Zosun's family doctor. Capturing him would lead to information about the other founders. Jing said, "Cliff Quinton is not someone you can deal with. After Alpha was eliminated, he managed to hide for many years without being detected, so he must have significant backing." Zosun, smiling, said, "It seems you've been investigating him these years to help me get revenge, right?" Jing coldly replied, "It's not because of you. I only aim to destroy the organization. I wasn't able to do it back then. If you know I'm handling this matter, there's no need for you to do anything more. Just back off." Zosun responded, "It's easy to say, but you've struggled so much that I found and controlled you. What more is there to handle? I'm determined to get revenge, and even you can't stop me." Hearing these words, Jing felt very miserable, to the point where he had to entrust others with tasks after being severely injured while saving Zosun 10 years ago. His sensitivity and agility were no longer what they used to be. He couldn't act alone as he did before. Seeing Jing's expression, Zosun embraced him and whispered, "Jing, why won't you admit that you haven't let go in your heart? I'm afraid of this path, worried about my own safety. Why hasn't Jing been moved by my concerns for your safety? It has nothing to do with me." Seeing him so cold, Zosun stepped back and said, "If you don't care about my life, then don't interfere with my revenge. I'm tired and want to rest. Jing, do you want to sleep? If not, you can tour around the royal villa." Jing had already left. Zosun sighed, "He's running again." Gao Zhenyu rushed in, reporting that Jing had jumped out of the window on the first floor. He might have known we couldn't act against the townspeople, so he left. What should we do next? Zosun, however, was not anxious. He's not well now, so he won't run far. Moreover, he probably won't run away, he just wants some quiet alone time. Of course, Jing knows that we use the lives of the townspeople as leverage just to intimidate. But now that he knows this organization belongs to me, the stakes have changed. My life is at stake, and there are even more people who want to kill me than those who wanted to kill him back then. It was difficult enough to save me 10 years ago, and now, 10 years later, would he really leave me behind? What if he really ran away? No matter where Jing goes, I'm confident I can find him. I've searched everywhere, but there's no sign of Jing. Meanwhile, Jing climbed onto the roof of the villa. Climbing up was exhausting. With his current physical condition, escaping was very difficult. The biggest problem now was that he wasn't sure what he was hesitating about, despite his efforts. He had helped Zosun, and now he was even directly threatened by his scent glands, so staying away was the best option. Dui de la ban dike don van ban kung kap sang tiang on. But his goal is to avenge the enemies of the Alpha organization. If left alone, he will have to face this abyss of loneliness, and perhaps end up like his father. Although this has nothing to do with you, Jing still went back into Zosun's room to check. Unexpectedly, there was no one on this floor, and the window was still open. Jing wondered how on earth Zosun could have survived this long without any sense of danger as the head of the organization. Looking at Zosun sleeping soundly, Jing suddenly remembered his childhood image, and instinctively wanted to touch him, but then he pulled his hand back in shock. Why was he thinking of him as a child? Clearly, things had changed. The child who used to cry and seek warmth was no longer there. The more he thought about it, the more uncomfortable he felt. Jing regretted coming in and turned to leave, but suddenly Zosun grabbed his hand and pulled him onto the bed. As expected, you haven't left yet. With your current strength, how far can you really run? He tightened his grip on Jing's hand. Jing struggled in pain. You know I can't escape. Why hold me so tightly? Zosun, with a dripping voice, replied, I know, but I don't want to experience the feeling of not being able to catch you again. At that time, I lost everything. You are the only one who could give me warmth. Obviously, you also felt my dependence on you, but you still ruthlessly left. I hate you for being heartless, and the more I hate you, the more powerless I feel. But now it's different. I know you have felt tormented for not being able to save my father. Now I am taking revenge on you, and I will never leave again because you fear that I will follow in my father's footsteps. Jing spoke up, those things are in the past. You should wake up. You were just one of the many people I helped by chance. Logically and emotionally, I have no responsibility towards you. No matter which path you choose now, it has nothing to do with me." Hearing these heartless words, Zosun was extremely shocked. He suddenly laughed and said, "Your mouth is so hard. The more you say that, the more I want to mark you." Before Jing could even scream, Zosun bit into his gland. With his current strength, Jing couldn't escape. As the pheromone was injected into his body, Jing began to reject it frantically. He screamed in pain. Zosun, coldly, said, "Back then, you left me so heartlessly, so now you say these hurtful words. I'm not surprised. That's why I chose to become strong so you can't leave me. No matter what you're like, after the marking is successful, you won't be able to leave me anymore." He continued to inject pheromones into Jing's body. However, despite his efforts, he still couldn't mark him. Zosun whispered, "It's okay, Jing. I can take my time. After all, we have plenty of time." A thunderous explosion and a group of people being chased and fleeing in panic followed. They didn't know what had angered the organization or why they were being hunted like this. It was said that the senior members of the organization had killed his parents when he was just a few years old, and they were now being hunted down ruthlessly. Even though they had hidden, they were still discovered and shot by Jing, who immediately ended two of them. Despite this, Jing was exhausted. He faced the rain, thinking, "I have avenged my parents. Finally, I can meet them again." In his daze, he heard a man's voice encouraging him, "Hang in there, young man." When he woke up, he found himself in a hospital, and the man introduced himself as Zoha, a businessman. "You're a young assassin who has destroyed our organization, Tarantula. It's very safe here. You can rest assured and heal." Jing, coldly, asked, "Why save me? I have lost the meaning to live. It's hard to imagine a child like you being such a skilled assassin." Zoha responded, "If you feel lost, then start working for me today. I will be here to help you. First, you must continue to live, then find a new purpose." The gentle touch of the man's head made Jing feel oddly warm. In Zoha's warehouse, seriously injured, Zoha lay on the ground, his hand trembling as he held Jing's hand, saying, "My son, please protect him." Jing woke up with a start, surprised to see Zosun lying comfortably in his arms. He looked just like the child from before, his left hand numb from holding Zosun's head, and his gland aching. Jing was exhausted and complained. Every time the gland resisted the pheromone invasion, it drained energy, so Jing had to wait for his strength to recover before doing anything else. He saw Gao Zhenruo lurking nearby. Hearing him call over, Gao Zhenruo immediately rushed closer. After Jing gave a brief command, he obediently complied. Jing noticed that his actions were a bit strange but more obedient than Zosun, and could be useful in the future. He asked him to get him a change of clothes. Zosun's video. He was not wearing the right outfit. His subordinate reported that Cliff Quinton had appeared near the church on Klimt Street, a place built long ago, where no organization had been found. The Klimt Church was the most mysterious base of Black Mamba. Hearing Jing, everyone turned back. Jing added, "I destroyed all their bases back then. Only that place remains. After I went into hiding in Black Mamba had a break, but now they have returned." Zosun's subordinate sighed, "Indeed, it's still the senior who knows more about the remnants of the old system." However, Zosun was concerned about the outfit Jing was wearing, asking, "It looks nice, but who does it belong to? Gao Zhenruo cheerfully jumped in, it's his. Next, his brother had to cover his mouth and explain, sorry, boss. If he works for you during the day, he needs appropriate uniform. Otherwise, it's inconvenient. Jing asked, I have to work for him? Smiling, Zosun stood up and walked toward Jing. Didn't I tell you last night? Welcome to my organization. My father once said that if you hire someone, it should be an assassin like you. From now on, you're my assassin. He also acknowledged that Jing had continued to investigate even while in hiding. It's clear we have the same goal, to hunt down all the founders of Alpha. Zosun said, pulling out a gun and handing it to him, as everyone around murmured. Boss intends to give the assassin Jing that gun. When receiving the gun, Jing examined it and thought that until his strength recovered, he would have to cooperate with this kid. Moreover, avenging his father was also a reason for him to delve into the dark web after going into hiding. Working with Burnett would indeed speed up the process. Jing raised the gun and said, hunting Alpha is indeed my goal, but if you want me to work for you, you have to meet 2 conditions. Next, he aimed the gun at Zosun, and his subordinates all raised their guns in warning. Next, he aimed the gun at Zosun, and his subordinates all raised their guns in warning. Meanwhile, Zosun ordered everyone to step back, leaving only him to talk to Jing. If you want to negotiate terms with me, of course, I will listen. It's just that before, you kept saying harsh things and then disappearing, which is why I am like this now. He aimed the gun at his own left chest and laughed, saying, if you can appease T, I'll listen to what you have to say. So, what are the 2 conditions? Despite knowing that it was rare for him to listen, Jing still said, first, to deal with Alpha, you must follow my advice. Zosun immediately agreed. The second condition is that you must not touch my gland. Upon hearing this condition, Zosun stood still, staring at Jing, and then slowly withdrew the gun from Jing's hand and proposed a countercondition. I won't touch your gland. As long as I'm kissing you and hugging you, you must not bite me. Don't run, don't resist, and don't say harsh words. If you do, I won't touch your gland. Jing was furious and grabbed Zosun by the collar. However, upon reflection, he realized that this kid only liked sweet talk. If he said something Zosun disliked now, his gland would suffer. His pheromones were too strong. If this continued, his own pheromones might not withstand it. Jing let go and helplessly responded, fine, do as you wish. Zosun immediately took hold of Jing and kissed him, a hot and wet kiss. At the same time, he greedily released pheromones. Realizing this, Jing immediately pushed him away. Are you releasing Fair Cameron? Zosun grinned wickedly, yes, your condition only mentioned not touching your gland. It didn't say I couldn't release pheromones. Jing held his breath and stepped back. Alpha pheromones would still affect him, but not as directly as if injected. Zosun continued, you can hold your breath to see how long you can last during the kiss. You might have miscalculated by accepting my request. At that moment, some subordinates burst in, interrupting the boss with an urgent report. Jing kicked Zosun in the ribs, sending him tumbling in surprise, while the subordinates, confused, pointed their guns as a warning. Please stop the disrespectful behavior. If you've joined our organization, you should show loyalty to the boss. Meanwhile, Gao Zhenruo was visibly jealous of the boss being kicked into the wall by the idol. Jing coldly said, who is being disrespectful here? Who? Zosun recovered his strength, put down his gun, and asked, what's the urgent matter? Subordinate reported that one of their branches in the Frihana archipelago had spotted members of the Black Mamba organization coming and going, suspecting that Varina's leader had a private deal with Black Mamba. Jing realized that Black Mamba had started to act. Indeed, to catch Clip Quen Tuan, they first had to deal with the old enemy, a family-based organization that had become rich from gold mining and used the black snake as their symbol. After returning, Black Mamba had become one of the largest illegal organizations today. Zosun laughed upon hearing this. Black Mamba has hidden Clip Quen Tuan to fight against me, and now they dare to come to our territory to probe. Fine, we'll go play with them in Varina in a few days. Jing immediately intervened, don't be impulsive. It might be a trap to lure you out. Before, no one knew that Burnett was you, not even me. The network is spreading that Burnett is an elderly person. It means you've been hiding well for years. Don't reveal your identity like this. Zosun said irritably, don't treat me like a child, Jing. I'm not afraid, nor do I intend to hide. I want them to know of my existence and lure them out of their lair. Didn't you agree to my plan earlier? Zosun calmly replied, yes, I will follow whatever plan you give. But it seems you've forgotten that my safety and the path I choose have nothing to do with you. You yourself said that last night. But it seems like you've forgotten that my safety and the path I choose have nothing to do with you. You said that to yourself last night, Jing, Jing couldn't refute this. After a few seconds of silence, he said, it really has nothing to do with me, it's just that your choice now directly affects our plans. That's all. After saying this, Jing realized that the situation was becoming problematic. These were words Zenshuo didn't want to hear, and it felt dangerous. Jing cautiously stepped back. Gao Renyu then spoke up, boss, now that Jing seems to be the organization's advisor, should we take him to the planning room later? He stared at Jing, then simply said, okay, before turning and leaving with a cold wind. Discuss among yourselves first, he instructed. Be careful with Jing, don't let him leave casually. Jing breathed a sigh of relief. It was a good thing he didn't go crazy and head to the planning room. Gao Renyu introduced himself as Zenshuo's assistant. The Burnett organization was global, operating with numerous branches of varying sizes. Gao Renyu led a secret branch tasked with protecting the Burnett leader. His brother, Gao Renrua, was a regular member under his branch, feeling humiliated in front of the idol. The Varina branch, which was substantial and rich in mineral resources, would need to be restructured if Black Mamba infiltrated. Jing asked, is it true that Varina members have seen Black Mamba coming and going without any concrete evidence? Gao Renyu replied, there's no evidence, and we can't prove the Varina leader's loyalty to the organization. Without evidence, it could become a reason for the opponent to counterattack. Therefore, they used the excuse of investigating mineral resources to come and investigate. There is a way to check. Are there any assets on the island that the Black Mamba organization uses for transactions? For example, gold with Black Mamba's mark. According to Gao Renyu, the island was very large, making it difficult to search. This was indeed a consideration. Even if Jing used Farinol to search for gold, the difficulty would increase with the large area. At that moment, Zenshuo quietly entered the room and signaled Gao Renyu to leave. He slowly approached Jing, and while Jing was deep in thought, trying to extract information from the Varina branch leader, Zenshuo suddenly threw himself into Jing's arms. Jing, wary, drew a dagger and pointed it at Zenshuo's neck. However, Zenshuo didn't care and continued regardless. Jing put the dagger down, noticing the smell of alcohol on Zenshuo. You went off to drink, didn't you? Not much, I just wanted to hug you for a bit, Zenshuo replied. Jing yelled, I'm currently planning according to your wishes. Pay some attention, Zenshuo, with a childlike tone, responded, I don't like that. Who told you to kick me earlier? But how dull are you not to sense the movement behind you? It's very dangerous. After all these years, the black reward posters are still up. If someone else finds you before I do, what then? Just thinking about it made him furious. He finished speaking and buried his face in Jing's neck, kissing hungrily. Jing thought to himself, aren't you just like them? To me, you're the most dangerous presence. However, Jing knew he couldn't say this out loud. Upsetting this kid would be very harmful to his gland. Zenshuo was still not satisfied and released pheromones. Jing immediately held his breath and turned his face to kiss him. His hands kept causing chaos. He was deprived of air. Jing helplessly took a deep breath, realizing that if this continued, it wouldn't end well. Jing stammered, wait, stop. Suddenly, Jing collapsed forward, exhausted. Seeing this seductive posture, Zenshuo cheerfully said, could it be that Fair Cameron has had an effect? Does this mean I can mark you now, Jing? Suddenly, Jing used his strength to get up quickly, hitting Zenshuo on the head. Zenshuo staggered back, dazed, and heard a loud noise. Subordinates rushed in to check, seeing the boss lying on the ground. Both of them screamed in shock. Jing, with difficulty, carried Zenshuo in his drunken state back to the room and coldly threw him onto the bed. He then carefully covered him with a blanket. Zenshuo suddenly grabbed Jing's waist and pulled him close. He mumbled, Jing, today you kicked me and hit me. I'm so sad. I don't know if he's really drunk or pretending. Jing tried to push him away but couldn't. Zenshuo buried his face in Jing's chest and whispered, Jing, when will you stop resisting me? Jing remained silent and then asked, where did this crazy idea come from? Why are you so obsessed with forming a relationship with me? However, Zenshuo lay still and didn't answer, seemingly asleep. Jing remembered that when he first met Zenshuo, he had said he didn't know why and intended to find the answer from him. So now Jing doesn't know where to find the answer. 10 years ago, everything was clearly under his control, but he didn't know when things started to spiral out of control. 10 years ago, Zenshuo's father came to see Jing. He asked if Jing was taking any missions at that time and if he could take on a bodyguard assignment for him. However, Jing had already accepted a commission from others to assist international organizations in eliminating the Kalfa conglomerate. Jing asked again, but is the mission you mentioned related to your life? Zoha was silent for a moment, then smiled and said, no, it's just a regular bodyguard mission. Nevertheless, he continued, but if I insist that you take this mission and even offer more money, would you accept it? Receiving Jing's silence, he added, I'm just joking. You don't work just for me. I know your character. Thousands of lives cannot be measured by money. After completing the mission, you must come to see me. I wish you all the best. Afterward, with the joint effort of all parties, the massive criminal organization Alpha was successfully eliminated, and hundreds of thousands of people were saved. However, its founder had escaped. What Jing didn't expect was that Zoha had lied about the bodyguard mission being related to his and his son's lives. In his dying moments, Zoha asked Jing to find and protect his son, who was the target of a massive manhunt by Alpha's founder at the northern coast of Gallon Warehouse. Jing had come here according to Zoha's wishes. The young Zenshuo, delighted, nestled into Jing's arms and asked, "Assassin Jing, did you come specifically to protect me?" Jing coldly replied, "I'm just passing through." At this moment, they were surrounded by a group of assassins. Zoha had not revealed their family's secret to Jing. The assassins mentioned that their family had special blood, which, after differentiation, could affect and suppress other genders. This was also the reason why Alpha sent people to kill them. What Jing didn't expect was that the founder behind Alpha was their family's private doctor. Zenshuo looked at Jing with surprise. He thought he had come to pick him up. Jing pulled the boy back and warned, "Stay still, kid. His identity is clearly no longer your family's doctor." The young Zenshuo was extremely shocked. Jing sternly asked, "The person is the founder of Alpha. Besides him, who else could it be?" The person did not intend to tell Jing but wanted to persuade him to join his side because Zoha was already dead. Jing would receive no money even if he protected Zoha's son, but if he worked for him, he would be paid a lot. Hearing that his father was dead, Zenshuo seemed unable to believe it. Jing immediately refused the offer from the person. "I don't lack money," Jing said. The person mentioned having heard many secrets about Jing's body. Although young, Jing had sufficient financial resources and the ability to destroy organizations. Tarantula was an assassin but had no scars on his body. He inquired if there were any sponsors behind Jing and if he was a beta. "Why is your recovery ability so strong?" The allure was such that many wanted to understand the secrets of Jing's body. However, the person was more interested in Zenshuo's special blood. He demanded that Zenshuo be handed over, and he would spare Jing. Jing looked at the young Zenshuo and said, "Wipe your tears and stick close to me if you want to live." He then turned to the person and continued, "Today is the anniversary of someone." However, the person showed no concern and boasted that he had top assassins in the world with him. After all, today is the anniversary of whom? Let's wait and see if everyone kills him. As for the boy, keep him alive. Make sure to strike hard and see if you can leave a deep scar on Assassin Jing. After a fierce battle, the assassins fell one after another on the floor. Christian couldn't believe it and urged his subordinate to hurry to the helicopter. However, he was reluctant and raised his gun, intending to kill Jing. His hand trembled with fear. In the end, he shifted his target to Zenshuo. Seeing Zenshuo in danger, Jing quickly rushed to the boy's side. Jing lay collapsed on the floor. He had shielded Zenshuo from a bullet. The person known as Cliff Quinton mocked, "I didn't expect Assassin Jing to take a bullet for a kid. It's truly beyond my expectations." He gleefully prepared to fire another shot. Suddenly, there was a loud explosion. The nearby warehouse erupted in flames. His subordinates reported that the adjacent warehouse was starting to explode in a chain reaction and that they needed to retreat quickly. Cliff Quinton was forced to leave, but Jing had managed to give Zenshuo a chance to escape. People said that Assassin Jing always prepared an escape route for himself. This was indeed effective. Cliff Quinton found it interesting and thought that if Jing survived this time, he would personally kill him. Blood flowed along the road as they fled. Losing too much blood and becoming weak, Zenshuo cried out, "Don't die, please." Fortunately, Zenshuo's family arrived just in time. The boy sobbed and said, "My father is dead. Please save Assassin Jing, he's about to collapse." The man said he could only take them to the hospital, and nothing more. Additionally, while helping Jing, he whispered to take them to chenlv hospital. Jing would handle everything else himself. After that, Jing lost consciousness. When he woke up, a week had already passed. Thanks to timely emergency treatment, Jing's life was saved. Although the bullet to his head and deep wound in his abdomen were serious, they were fortunately not fatal. chenlv was a nursing facility protected by an international organization. The director, who was someone Jing trusted, likely made it the safest place for Zenshuo. Besides waiting for recovery and continuing to hunt Cliff Quinton, there was also the issue of the child, Zenshuo. The bloody scene and the pain of losing a loved one had left Zenshuo psychologically scarred, much like Jing had experienced before. Jing empathized with the boy. He waved and called Zenshuo over. The boy stared at Jing and then rushed to his side. At night, while sleeping, Zenshuo dreamed of the assassins wanting to kill him. He woke up with a start, trembling in bed. Suddenly, he heard footsteps approaching his room, and a shadow appeared at the door. When the door opened, Zenshuo's eyes widened in fear, and he quickly yelled and ran outside. The boy ran straight to Jing's room. Jing, who was wrapped in the blanket, shivered and said, "Someone is coming, he's here to kill me." At that moment, Jing heard footsteps outside. Realizing someone was coming, Jing swiftly pulled out a gun from under the pillow and aimed at the door. As the door slowly opened, Jing also gradually pulled the trigger. The person outside raised one hand and called out, "It's me, darling. I was afraid if I rushed in, you'd shoot me on sight." It turned out to be Daniel, the hospital director who was familiar and trusted by Jing. Daniel explained, "I just came to check on the boy and inquire about his condition, but he suddenly screamed and ran outside. I might have disturbed other patients, but I can't be held responsible as this floor is for VIP patients only." Jing sighed and gently called, "Hey, kid, come out. He's the director of this hospital. Daniel is the one who took you in. This place is very safe. No one will come to harm you. Do you understand?" Daniel approached and took Zenshuo back to his room. Seeing Zenshuo still trembling and dazed, Jing told Daniel, "Let him stay here. You can leave now." Although Daniel was not happy to be dismissed in this manner, he had to leave. Seeing Jing's unusual treatment of Zenshuo, Daniel looked at him with an enigmatic expression. In his dreams, Zenshuo continued to see Cliff Quinton and his men coming to kill him. In this state of panic, he smelled a pleasant fragrance that dispelled the terrifying scenes before him. The boy, still not understanding what was happening, gradually opened his eyes and saw himself sleeping in Jing's arms. He discovered that the pleasant smell came from Jing and had to be close to Jing to smell it. So, he buried his face into Jing, inhaling the scent, and it seemed the closer he got, the stronger the scent became. At this moment, Jing suddenly woke up and asked, "What are you doing, kid?" Zenshuo, startled, yelled, "I'm sorry." After that, Zenshuo came to Jing's room every day. The doctor noticed that the boy had become much more lively and smiled more, indicating a quick recovery. However, Director Daniel still looked pensive. Zenshuo, carrying a stack of books, cheerfully ran to Jing's room but tripped and fell due to his hurry. Jing reminded him, "Didn't I tell you to only take 3 books?" Zenshuo explained that the other books were for him to read while he was still in school, as he could finish 1 book a day. Jing's condition was gradually improving, and he was getting used to having Zenshuo around. Daniel said he had arranged for Zenchuo to attend St. Ko-ri Academy next to the hospital. Despite being only 12 years old and small for his age, Zenchuo was already 12. Jing wondered if it was due to delayed growth. Daniel explained that the boy had not yet differentiated. After checking, Daniel found that Zenchuo's special blood was different from ordinary people. After differentiation, alpha would awaken with hormones, leading to stronger growth. The boy would become taller and stronger than Jing. Jing found it hard to imagine this future and coldly said, "How Zenchuo turns out in the future has nothing to do with me." Hearing this, Daniel silently looked at Jing and said, "If you think so, then I'm relieved. I thought you intended to live with him. But Jing, I want to remind you not to get too close to him. Alpha is still active on the dark web with bounties. If they capture you, international organizations will not stop hunting you. Even if you are commissioned to support international organizations against Alpha, they will not stop tracking down outlaws like you. We, being a nursing facility protected by an international organization, provide safety for the boy, but not for you. The paths of you two are completely different. But the boy is increasingly dependent on you, as you must have noticed. If this continues, it might not be good." Past memories resurfaced in Jing's mind. Even so, he still did not find the answer to Zenchuo's obsessive intentions. "Have you woken up? Did you sleep well last night?" Zenchuo's voice echoed. As soon as he woke up, Jing smelled a strong scent, surely because Zenchuo had continued to release pheromone while he was asleep. Jing wondered how much he had inhaled during his sleep and pulled his hands up to cover his nose and mouth. He even shamelessly said, "This is a great opportunity to release pheromones," then he pulled down the blanket and moved closer to Jing. Jing asked, "Since when has your physical condition changed?" He replied, "I can't wait any longer." With that, he pounced on Jing and kissed him, stealing his breath away. Jing inhaled a large amount of pheromones. He pushed Zenchuo away uncomfortably. Seeing this, Zenchuo reminded him, "Didn't we agree to negotiate? If you don't let me kiss you, I'll touch this part of you. That way, your physical condition will change faster." Threatened, Jing had no choice but to concede. Zenchuo smiled triumphantly and boldly kissed Jing. Jing's heart raced faster and faster. He breathed continuously, trying to get air while Zenchuo demanded more of Jing's pheromones. "I want to release your pheromones. Before, when I was in your arms, I could smell a fresh fragrance. That scent made me feel at ease. Only a few days ago, when you escaped and released pheromones, I realized it was your pheromone. I want to release it. If you can release your pheromones, I can stop releasing mine." Zenchuo's words made Jing question whether he could trust him. Zenchuo shamelessly replied, "Haven't I stopped? If you don't believe me, I'll release communication pheromones." Jing reluctantly complied. He began to release his own pheromones, feeling a dull ache in his glands. Jing hoped it wouldn't be affected. Suddenly, Zenchuo held Jing in his arms, greedily inhaling the scent of his pheromones and continuously praising it. "It's so fragrant, I love it." He buried his face into Jing's body. Unexpectedly, Zenchuo's pheromones triggered a direct reaction in Jing. But was it another opportunity to release pheromones? He smiled and said, "No, it's just the pheromones from earlier. Jing, you should smell how our pheromones are blending together." He continued to savor Jing's pheromone scent. Jing felt his heart pounding and scolded, "You're obviously releasing pheromones. Should I trust your lies and be so affected?" He wondered what special function pheromones had that made him protect them so much. Zenchuo insisted, "There's nothing special. I just don't want to be marked as an omega and end up as such." However, he bluntly said, "You don't want it, but it's unavoidable. It's the only way for me to establish a bond with you. I considered using chains to bind you, but since you fought against various organizations, no matter if it's a prison on land or an underwater cell, you could escape. How could a chain restrain you? Long-term use of drugs would also harm your body. Restraining him from the outside would be completely useless, so the only option was to start with marking, temporarily marking here and permanently marking here." Hearing these intentions, Jing thought the boy was insane. He wanted to mark him permanently. Jing angrily pushed him away and intended to leave, but Zenchuo grabbed his hand and pulled him back to the bed. Despite Jing's struggles, he was stopped by several men. They said the boss didn't allow him to leave. Zenchuo said they would go to Varina Island that night. Jing wanted to go back to town and send a few messages. "If you was worried about me running away, you could offer to send someone to follow me." Smiling, Zenchuo said, "I will go with you myself." After 10 years of living in this peaceful town, Jing's life had changed dramatically with Zenchuo's recent appearance. The name that used to give Jing peace in this town gradually faded away, replaced by a new title. Zenchuo once asked Jing why he took this shortcut, as if he didn't want people to know about his existence. Jing coldly replied, "Don't call me by that name in this town. Don't speak out of turn later." "Understood," Zenchuo obediently replied, "Yes." Jing went to a familiar restaurant. The owner greeted him warmly, saying it had been a while since Jing last visited. The owner had wanted to invite him for a meal after Jing's previous help. Jing apologized for disturbing him during business hours. The owner said, "Don't be so polite. We've known each other for years." At this moment, the owner's son happily ran to Jing and tried to leap into his arms, but Zenchuo intervened. "Where did this kid come from? Are you close with him?" The boy cried out in fear. Jing, annoyed, told Zenchuo to let go. The owner then asked, "This is Zenchuo." He introduced himself as Zenru, a friend of one. They haven't met for 10 years. He just returned from abroad and came to see one. The owner enthusiastically invited them to stay for dinner. However, Jing declined and handed a key to the owner, saying he would be away from home for a while and asking him to keep the house key. The owner asked if Jing was traveling. Jing wasn't sure how long he would be gone. The boy tearfully said, "Last time, when said he would go to the mountains to catch beetles, but even though my father said I insisted, one hadn't agreed, I still begged him to go." Meanwhile, Jing planned to investigate the situation behind the mountain to ensure the gold he buried there for future departure was still safe. Jing was surprised that Zenchuo stubbornly clung to him. Zenchuo scolded the boy, Min, telling him not to act spoiled or cry. Jing had his own plans and decided to take the boy away immediately. The owner was worried about causing trouble, but Jing reassured him. Zenchuo was stunned by this. Jing patted the boy's head and said, "Let's go." Min cheerfully said goodbye to his father and followed Jing. Zenchuo was deep in thought. The three of them climbed the mountain. The boy pointed to a tree and asked if there were any beetles. Jing said it didn't seem like there were any and suggested the boy look for trees that exude resin to attract insects. He advised the boy to look in that direction but not to go too far. Zenshuo then spoke up, "Why have I just noticed this? Whether it was 10 years ago or now, you've never called me by my name. You always refer to me as the kid or something like that. The children in this town have nothing to do with you. Why do you call them by name and pat their heads but not me?" He asked again, "Is it that important?" Zenshuo immediately replied, "It does to me. Do I have to be known as one for you to treat me like that? It's not fair to me. I knew you before you became one. It's not something I could decide. I want you to call me by my name," Jing said. "You asked not to be treated like a child. But you end up causing trouble like a child. Don't you see the contradiction?" Zenshuo replied, "All right, let's go," then turned to leave. Suddenly, Jing smelled a familiar scent and turned around to see Zenshuo's furious face as he released a large amount of pheromones. He moved closer to Jing, saying, "You think I'm acting like a child? How about if I act like an adult?" Jing was horrified. "Are you crazy? Min Min is here." Zenshuo ignored him, saying, "It's none of my business. The kid hasn't undergone differentiation yet, so he can't smell the pheromones." At that moment, Ming Ming yelled, having found 2 beetles and wanting Jing to catch them. Jing quickly pushed Zenshuo away, and Zenshuo insisted on doing it because Jing wouldn't be able to reach from that height. Even while helping Min Min catch beetles, Zenshuo didn't stop releasing pheromones. Jing felt his heart racing and his breathing becoming rapid. He was confused as it wasn't due to a lack of oxygen from kissing. His legs gave way, and he fell to the ground. He was shocked to realize his body was starting to be affected by Zenshuo's pheromones. After catching the beetles, Min Min happily returned to show Jing, but both Zenshuo and the boy were surprised not to see Jing. Zenshuo mobilized a helicopter and gathered his men to search the mountain for Jing but found no trace. He blamed himself for being careless and giving Jing the chance to escape. He wondered if Jing's visit to the familiar restaurant was a deliberate attempt to run away or if it was a sudden plan after saying he would accompany the boy. Jing had another purpose for climbing the mountain, so the insect-catching route was his real destination. Meanwhile, Jing struggled and made his way to the place where he had hidden the gold. He didn't expect Zenshuo's special blood to be so potent. It made sense that the Alpha would gather assassins from everywhere to hunt for them. Indeed, eliminating the Alpha founders was Jing's urgent goal. However, he needed to protect his glands and ensure safety. He carefully made his way down the slope to where he had buried the gold long ago. The area was covered with dense wild grass. Jing inhaled the scent of the trees and released pheromones like his own, mingled with the scent of wild grass. Jing slowly started to recover his condition and was determined to take the gold and hide it somewhere safe. Suddenly, he realized someone was behind him. Turning around, he was shocked to see Zenshuo rushing in and pinning him to the grass. Jing was astonished at how quickly Zenshuo had found him. He tried to take a breath into Zenshuo's side and then attempted to get up, but Zenshuo once again pinned him down. Jing said, "It hurts," Zenshuo remarked. "It seems like your physical strength has recovered well. I'm not in a hurry to find out why you ran away. But it's true that you tried to escape. Since you've broken the conditions, don't blame me for affecting your glands." He continued to release pheromones and bit into Jing's glands, frantically injecting pheromones into him. "I can smell your pheromones. Keep releasing them, no matter how much beta pheromones resist, they won't be able to counter me." Jing lay exhausted on the grass, realizing it wasn't his pheromones but the smell of wild grass. This time, he couldn't stop, indicating he was beginning to adapt to the pheromones. As Zenchuo injected more, his body temperature rose continuously. Do you feel the changes in yourself, which made you flee in haste? Jing immediately countered. Zenchuo held Jing up, whether there are changes or not, you'll find out for yourself. Despite cursing me, I won't stop, Jing, panicked Jing, called out, wait, Zenchuo. However, Zenchuo madly responded, now you call me by name? But it's too late. He released dense pheromones and stole the air. Majing Jing breathed deeply. Zenchuo joyfully said, finally, we can establish a deep bond. He continued to bite into Jing's glands and inject pheromones. Jing's mind became hazy, and he felt intense sensations. The glands were continuously injected with alpha pheromones, gradually touching over his whole body. Jing's own pheromones were being pushed back, and his consciousness sank into darkness. Seeing his success, Zenchuo cheered, the temporary mark has been made. I didn't expect to mark you temporarily. Jing, even though this temporary mark may fade over time, there's no need to rush. I'll mark you again after a period until your physical condition completely changes. Feeling his pheromones being overwhelmed, Jing woke up with a start. He was lying on a soft bed. As he sat up, he felt a sharp pain in his glands. Zenchuo hugged him and asked, does it hurt? Do you remember what happened on the mountain? Jing, enraged, grabbed Zenchuo's neck and pushed him down onto the bed. However, his hands were trembling and lacked strength. Zenchuo asked, do you regret it? When the first day, you clearly had the chance to break my neck but didn't act. Now you really want to kill me but lack the strength, Jing, furiously warned, Wayne Day, I will kill you, Zenchuo smiled and said, alright, at least you still have the intention to kill me. It's better than having no reaction. My life was originally yours, Jing. But I'll only give it to you when I've eliminated the alpha. For now, go to sleep. If not, I'll think you still have the energy to do that with me. Jing could only stare at the childish behavior and ask, where are we? Zenchuo replied, we're on the sea, heading to Varina. We'll arrive in a few hours. You look tired, so keep sleeping. Jing coldly pushed him away and said, don't worry about it. Jing thought, even if I wanted to sleep, I wouldn't lie down with him. Zenchuo, with his thick skin, hugged and pinned Jing to the bed. At the Varina branch of the Burnetta organization, Zenchuo brought people to the branch to investigate the leader Del. Del, panicked, explained that the branch's activities were proceeding normally and they were loyal to Burnetta. He quickly concluded that their involvement with Brexit Mamba was unfounded. Jing, however, ruled that if the rumors were circulating, Del needed to prove his innocence, not him. Since Del hadn't responded after several days, it seemed he was waiting for Jing's arrival. Del, frightened, apologized and said it was his fault. He offered to have his men search every island and assured them that they were not related to Black Mamba and that such mistakes would not happen again. Zenchuo immediately ordered his men to search each island one by one and told Del, you're old and frail. We'll deal with you after the search is complete. Del seemed frustrated but forced a smile, leader, the investigation will take some time. Please come and visit our headquarters. We'll take good care of you. Meanwhile, aboard the spaceship, Jing was exhausted due to the temporary mark. Escaping became even more difficult, but he was fortunate to still sense a bit of his own pheromones, albeit weak, showing he had some ability to recover. A voice called out, you're awake now, Gao Renrua, tearfully looking at Jing, said, I think the boss is being too harsh. I'll help you escape. Although I want to be with you, I'll never force you. You must believe I am different from the boss. Follow me, Jing, and I'll help you escape unexpectedly. His brother opened the door and stepped in, making Gao Renrua back away. Gao Renyu apologized to Jing, explaining that he had to follow Zenshuo's orders and couldn't let him leave. Zenshuo had met with the Varina branch manager and was conducting a large-scale search. He wanted Jing to stay here. Jing asked, "What's the reason for the inspection? Has it started?" The boss directly used the excuse of Black Mamba to conduct the investigation and had already killed 3 men. Jing felt Zenshuo was being reckless and not adhering to his plan. If no evidence was found, it would put them in danger. The manager was not afraid of being inspected and had certainly prepared an escape route. Jing decided to proceed with his plan, but Zenshuo's interference meant he had to take the initiative. He instructed Gao Renyu to prepare clothes for him, ignoring his attempts to stop him. As an advisor to the organization, how could I not help that boy? In a bar, Zenshuo had a few pretty omegas brought in. He said they could be taken if desired. However, Zenshuo refused and bluntly said, "I'm only interested in betas. The staff here are all betas. Choose whoever suits your taste." Zenshuo coldly looked up and was very surprised to see Jing. Jing glanced at him. Gao Renyu then moved closer to Zenshuo and whispered that Jing's plan was too risky and stubbornly wanted to come here to help. Zenshuo instructed the waiter to pour the drinks and then attend to the boss. When he took a closer look at Jing, he was stunned to see a new face. Jing introduced himself as Wendeli, but the real Wendeli was tied up outside. Del immediately pushed the Omega away and said, "I've never seen a beta like this." He grabbed Jing's hand and said, "It's a pity for beta to be a servant. Come and serve me well." Gunshots rang out, and a bullet whizzed past Del's face. He looked around in panic at Zenshuo, who was furious and threatened, "Get your filthy hands off him. He's mine." Del, scared, raised his hands in surrender. "If you like this beta, then of course, he's yours." Del then said, "1. Serve the boss well." Jing, ignoring him, calmly walked past Zenshuo but was immediately pulled into Zenshuo's lap. Zenshuo buried his face in Jing's neck and inhaled his scent. Jing pushed him away. "Get off, don't touch my glands." Zenshuo acted as if he didn't hear and said, "They're watching us pretend. Be honest, 1. You came here worried, so you want to intervene?" Jing, annoyed, said, "Do you think I'd let you act recklessly and put the whole Burnetta Center branch, including myself, in danger?" Zenshuo replied, "So, you're here as an advisor? Fine. I'll do whatever you say now. After all, I've successfully marked you and formed a deep bond with you, so I'm in a good mood," he said. Jing was irritated and slapped Zenshuo. Zenshuo, grinning, said, "I'm fine, I like him like this." Suddenly, he hugged and kissed Jing, and they looked at each other affectionately. Del, with a dark expression, thought, "So, you think you can choose what you like? In the end, he's mine." He realized that all the other branches knew about Varina. If the investigation team finished without finding anything, Del would lose credibility. He planned to use this to rise against the other branches and eliminate the central branch to become the new leader of Burnetta. However, he didn't know why Wendeli seemed familiar to him. At that moment, Zenshuo's men reported that no evidence related to Brexit Mamba was found. As Jing had predicted, Del exclaimed, "I told you we have nothing to do with Brexit Mamba can finally confirm our innocence." Just then, the room shook suddenly. Del said, it's probably just a minor aftershock. Since Varina Island is in an earthquake zone, it has many mineral resources. Jing thought for a moment and said, in an earthquake zone? How do I know what's happening? Jing whispered to Zenshuo. Why is the branch manager so confident about this inspection? Since the island is in an earthquake zone, they can't hide Black Mamba's gold underground or in the mountains. That would be very risky. Seeing Jing actively close to him, Zenshuo held his head and kissed him. Jing, caught in his firm embrace, couldn't resist. Zenshuo smiled and said, "You mean they can only hide the gold in this building, right?" Jing replied, "If you destroy the building, we'll lose more than we gain. We don't know how many more cards the branch manager has up his sleeve. We should investigate the building thoroughly to find the exact location of the gold." Zenshuo immediately stopped Jing from acting alone. "What if you run away?" "I'm not sleeping." Dell suggested that Zenshuo stay here for a few days. They had prepared a luxurious apartment for him. Zenshuo happily agreed and carried Jing away. Dell sent someone to guide them to the room. On the way, Jing got annoyed and told Zenshuo to put him down. Zenshuo, feeling petty, chided him. "You've forgotten my name again," Jing insisted. "I need to inspect the building structure to accurately determine the location of the gold. We're working together now, so I won't run away. You have no reason not to listen to me, right? Or do you think that anything I say you'll do is a lie?" Zenshuo, smiling, assessed, "It seems you've mastered negotiation skills with me." He then set Jing down. Jing looked around and, unexpectedly, Zenshuo tightly held Jing's hand. Despite Jing's attempts to shake it off, Zenshuo wouldn't let go, making Jing frustrated. Jing speculated about the amount of gold that might be hidden. The branch manager certainly had enough space to hide a substantial amount of gold. Jing planned to use his pheromones to search for it. Zenshuo asked, "Why have you been releasing pheromones all this time?" Jing looked at Zenshuo for a few seconds, then turned away and replied, "After you marked me, I have your scent on me. I'm not used to it. I just want to smell my own pheromones." Jing, feeling awkward, said, "If you mark me a few more times, I'll get used to it." He admitted, "But I do prefer the scent of your pheromones." Jing's glands were aching. He could clearly feel his pheromones weakening, and it took more effort to release them. Despite thoroughly searching, Jing found no gold. He wondered if his pheromones had become so weak that they were ineffective. Suddenly, his glands reacted strongly. They had detected gold nearby.